Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Avarice movie commentary. I'm Devin. Today we'll be watching Halloween 4. If you've never watched or listened before, basically I will play the movie. You'll be able to hear it slightly in the background. I'll offer commentary, insights, opinions, sometimes get off track, etc. It's almost like a free-form podcast, but with the movie as a structure to kind of give me somewhere to go with it. So I'll give you guys a second to get oriented, and then we'll go ahead and start the movie. Some of you will be watching this on YouTube. Some of you will be listening to this on iTunes, audio only. Essentially, we'll try to sync it up so that if you are watching it, you would mute that, listen to this audio track, and or both at the same time if you like chaos. Okay, we're gonna go ahead, get ready to. Well, first, let me address anybody who's been kind of following along. I started with the new one, 2018, and simply because it was getting ready to be released on Blu-ray. I wanted to start doing movie review type things, commentaries, and the release on Blu-ray of the new 2018 Halloween movie was coming up. So I decided I would go ahead and record stuff for that, so that I would try to garner as much interest as possible, basically, while that movie had some interest going. What resulted in that was essentially a bunch of people started to watch my commentary track and then turned it off because they were looking for the full movie on YouTube. So I got a whole bunch of views, but when I check how long they watched the video, it was almost nothing. So give and take. Then I moved from there on to the original Halloween from 1978. And then I'm moving on sequentially or chronologically. So I just did a few days ago Halloween 2 from 1981. And now I am skipping Halloween 3 for a few reasons. The main one is it doesn't include Michael Myers, so I'm doing this almost as the whole series, and that doesn't fit in as part of the series. It's almost like season 2 of The Wire, but I like season 2 of The Wire. And oddly enough, season 2 of The Wire is very important, even though it's divergent from all of the other seasons. Season of the Witch has literally nothing to do with the other Halloweens. The Wire season 2 at least takes place in the same city. Some of the characters are there. It's just in a much different environment, with most of the focus being on characters that aren't relevant in the rest of the seasons. I digress. So I'm skipping it, A, because it doesn't include Michael Myers. B, because I've never seen it. And I've never seen it because it doesn't include Michael Myers. I've heard that it's not a bad movie as a standalone flick, but I just haven't really been interested in it because, because there's no Michael. I was born in the late 80s, so a lot of this stuff had already happened before I became aware of the franchise. I think the first one I saw was probably 5, unfortunately. So I came into the franchise. Part of the lore that I understood, Laurie was always the sister, Jamie was the niece, I think I was even like the original story of Michael Myers or lore I was told even included the druids and the killing of the family. So trying to erase that when that's what I originally learned is difficult. Anyway, so we're skipping over Halloween 3, moving on to Halloween 4 now, and I like this movie, and I hate this movie. I know that a lot of people really, really like it. It's a good sequel. It's a worthy sequel. It's just got a lot of continuity issues and a lot of mistakes that pull you out of it, in my opinion, that really detract from what it could have been. Plus, there's a couple writing issues that I don't like. So I'll address those kind of as they come up in the movie. but I do really appreciate this movie simply for the fact that it took those that one night in 1978 where Michael went on the rampage over the course of two films, Halloween 1, 1978, Halloween 2, 1981, which was actually supposed to take place on the original night in 78. So without this movie being made and without these people, the director, the producers, Mustafa Akkad, frankly, and this writer putting this out, we would have been left with just those two really solid movies, and it would have been a really great duo of pictures and probably held up great, in slasher and horror film lore. But because this was made, it breathed new life into the franchise, and from there we got so many more sequels, and Halloween turned into this thing that goes in all these different directions, and it can be all these different things, and we have all these different masks to bitch about and all these different Michaels to bitch about, and it's great. So if they hadn't decided to make this movie and go this direction and give us Michael back, I don't want to say we would be stuck with the original two, because those are really good. Those are my favorite two, honestly. But we wouldn't have been able to go in all the fun, weird directions that we've gone since then with the franchise. So now, without further ado, on my PS4 here, I'm going to get it set up. I'll try to cue you. Okay, so I'm pressing play. I'll count down from 3, and then I will say play, and that's when I'll press play. So counting down from 3, 2, 1, play. So hopefully you can hear the music just started, October 30th, 1988. Not music, but ambiance sound. Got the Pumpkins, Mustafa Akkad. They went with the classic coloring and font, but they did do kind of a 3D effect on it. In the 80s, 90s, we started getting falling in love with ourselves as far as what we could do with computers and making stuff what we thought was fancy and cool, but once technology and stuff advanced, it kind of looks shitty or sounds shitty in retrospect, like a lot of the 80s synth music and stuff. And I'm not saying that this font looks bad, but it's just that 3D effect kind of takes me out of it a bit. I just like the flat look. To the scenery, though, they shot this in Utah. The first two were in Pasadena. They shot this, I believe, in Salt Lake. And they were really able to capture, that Halloween, that fall crispness in the air feeling. It feels chilly as you're watching it. They've got... the only thing I don't understand is all that opening sequence. You never really see any scenery like that again in the film, except for maybe when Loomis is looking at the crashed ambulance and he gets picked up by the preacher old man. That opening scene always felt a little too rural for me compared to what Haddonfield looked like in the previous two movies. Again, I'm ignoring number 3, so when I say previous 2, we're talking Michael Myers' previous 2. So I just always felt like that barn and stuff, I don't feel like that stuff would have been in John Carpenter's Haddonfield. So now we're at the sanitarium. It's pretty underwhelming, to be honest, the opening. It's... Yeah, I at least this shot here. So at this point, the audience is wondering how they're going to bring Michael back. He was shot in both eyes. Loomis turned all the gas on and blew the building up and presumably killed them both or burnt them both bad. So this is sort of the expose scene where they're gonna catch us up. And what they were going for with this actor is almost making it seem like maybe he could be an inmate. He's kind of crazy. He's unstable. Do you trust him? one of my problems with this movie is the way it's shot and lit and looks. It feels cheap to me. It almost looks like the coloring is almost like soap opera ish, or like it almost reminds me of the way Oz looks. Honestly, the TV show Oz, but it doesn't. It doesn't have this the polished cinema film look that the previous two had, in my opinion. There's just something off about it. I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it, but I'm not a filmmaker, so it's hard for me to. A filmmaker would probably be able to tell me what it is. So during that scene, he basically explained what happened to Michael, and that he's been in a coma for 10 years, he's burnt up, etc.
Yes, and Dr. Hoffman, medical administrator.
Like the way the angle is too narrow. Like we're too close up to these bars and them. It feels like John Carpenter would have had a wider shot here or something. So Michael's face is all bandaged up. She's checking his blood pressure. I always thought that in this getup, Michael looks like Chevy Chase in The Invisible Man, when he's invisible and he's all wrapped up with ace bandage or gauze or whatever the fuck it is. So always makes me laugh a little bit, because I always just think of The Invisible Man when I see Michael like that.
Michael Myers is still his patient.
So that guy makes it sound like Loomis is I can't think of the term, but he makes it sound like Loomis didn't want to be there. Loomis wasn't aware. Loomis ignored notification. We find out later this guy didn't tell Loomis on purpose, because he didn't want him there, because he didn't want him to argue. And Loomis would have pulled his typical shtick of, why would you want to move him? He needs to be terminated, etc., etc. Now that Michael's out in the open and on the move, we get hit with the theme song, and the audio guy, I can't think of the name right now, but the Alan Haworth, he essentially wanted to hold off on calling back to the original score and kind of make the opening his own, he said. But essentially we just got some ambiance in the beginning and then really no music up until this point. So while he held off on it, I don't know what was his own about it before that. Now we have the ambulance pull off, and you just know that something's going to happen on this trip. Or it's a really cop-out way. I don't know if it was at this point when this was filmed, but it's kind of a cop-out way to get him free and explain. This scene was shot after the movie had wrapped, because they thought they needed to add some gore and some more bodies. Excuse me. So instead of just cutting to the accident scene later, they actually showed him kill this guy. And they used a mechanical hand with a retractable thumb. So they just shoved it into his forehead and it retracted, and then some blood squirts out. Now we meet Jamie, Danielle Lewis. Remarkable emotional range for a kid actor, and it almost makes you wonder how she was capable of that. Now she's seeing that ambulance there, but it's not actually there because we know it crashes. So she's got this weird psychic connection to Michael, which I don't like.
What is this, 4 nights in a row? Going for a record here?
And then one of the writing issues I don't like is how bitchy Rachel is. She really is coming off like she's frustrated. This like this girl is
we're not really sisters, Jamie.
Yeah, what a bitch.
But that doesn't mean that I love you any less.
Rachel makes it seem like Jamie's an inconvenience to her, and she resents her, and they make her the girl that survives at the end. So it's kind of this duality where it's hard to be rooting for her at the end during the chase scene, etc., when at the beginning of the movie she's a super bitch to this little girl. I mean, some redeeming factors is that, you know, her boyfriend cheats on her, etc. But then she loses Jamie later. Like, it's a weird writing choice to have her be such a borderline character and be the survivor at the end. The actress does a great job, but just the character itself is, I don't understand the choice. Just to have the resentment there between them. Having them be close, I feel like would have been better. Maybe have the dad have more dialogue and the dad resents her or something. Have something like that. But to have the main surviving girl have, you know, this conflicted relationship with the Jamie like this is interesting. So she's now going to go and look at the picture. So according to the story, Laurie Strode, Jamie Lee Curtis's character, after the second movie, got married, had a family. This is her daughter. And then she died in a car accident. And I'm assuming her husband died too. So her daughter was adopted by this family. And that's why she's here now. So she's a bit traumatized. I don't know how old her mother was supposedly when she died. First time we see the mask, goofy as fuck. I fucking hate that mask.
Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul will keep. I strive before I wake. I pray the Lord my soul will take.
Hush, little baby, don't say a word. And never mind that noise you heard. It's just the beast under your bed. In your closet, in your head. Exit light. Sorry. That prayer is in Enter Sandman. Sounds just like that. So Michael's obviously not really in her room right now because he hasn't even gotten his costume and mask yet. And she wouldn't have any idea who he is or what he looks like, I don't think, it's other than this stupid telepathic connection that they have. It makes Michael less scary that he has a telepathic connection with her, in my opinion. And that the so-called evil is able to be transferred and things of that sort. It doesn't work the same for me. He needs to be singular. What? Bacon? So, I don't know if any of you guys have listened to or watched my previous stuff on Halloween, but I talk a lot about the mask. And in this, pardon, later in the movie, we're going to get a glimpse for one scene of the infamous pink mask with blonde hair. That supposedly was the original mask mold, the William Shatner mask mold. Excuse me. And for some reason, when they shipped them, there's 6 for the production of this, they were shipped pink with blonde hair. So then the effects manager, or whatever the fuck he's called, had to paint them white and color the hair brown to try to match it. So it comes off too white, it's got a bumpy texture, and the hair isn't dark enough. It looks red in some scenes, it's kind of wispy, and then also, maybe the worst thing is they didn't take the sideburns off. Like, maybe around eyebrow level, they cut into the hairline on the original one and took everything below that and kind of went diagonally down towards the ear. And it really helps the effect.
Mom, I'm on a diet. You want an oinker?
And the way that the hair is combed, etc., makes the top of the head look kind of bulbous and plump. He looks chubby.
Susan, she can't babysit tonight.
Dairy and carbs on a diet.
Last night, the ice cream.
You could eat like 6 eggs and it'd be way better for you than that.
You'll have to watch Jamie tonight. Not tonight. I've got that date with Brady. You know how important that is. Well, tonight is very important for your...
Teenage girls are really bitchy. Like, if I had said something like that to my parents, my dad would have thrown me through the fucking wall. And then he would have made me watch my sister still. Even if I was in the hospital, he'd have taken her to the hospital and made me watch her in the hospital.
I think tonight Brady was ready to make a commitment. But now my future relationship, my engagement, my marriage, my children, and your grandchildren have all been wiped out because I have to baby.
Don't be dramatic, you cunt.
You can go out.
When you're a little kid, it's okay to say things like that, but adults who say stuff like that, I just ruin everything, nobody likes me, and they're just fishing for compliments, that shit's rough. Those high-waisted jeans with a crop shirt, that's back in style now. Who's this dog? Where's Max?
I didn't mean it
The
like
next
that.
movie, Max is...
I can go out with Brady tomorrow night. It's no big deal.
She wants to go out tonight. It's my fault I can't.
Well, tonight we're going to do something better. We're going to go trick-or-treating.
She does come up and try to make it right, so that's good. And she does actually cancel the date, and...
get some candy.
But when you're teenagers, you think that your relationships are so volatile. Like, she thinks that if she cancels one date with this guy, it's going to ruin her fucking whole life. And it's like, when you're an adult, shit comes up, and you're like, sorry, honey, I got to work late. I'm not even going to see you today. That shit happens, and you just roll with it because you're together for a long time. You're thinking in the long term, but you want everything so quick, so fast, so now when you're young. That song, I wish that I knew what I know now when I was younger. Another inconsistency and something that bothers me is Loomis's makeup. So here he's got the egg yolk look. You see that circle in his face? That was the original look, and Loomis didn't like it. And or Donald Pleasance didn't like it, so they redid it. And then whoever did the editing and post-production did a tremendous disservice to the effects team, because sometimes it looks like this and sometimes it looks the other way, and it made it look like they didn't know what the fuck they were doing. So, I mean, just from the top down, this movie had so many problems.
Take a good look. I don't want anyone to have to live through that night.
At least they did scar him up and acknowledge that he was in that fire. But it's odd that he is not burned nearly as bad as Michael is. When he was holding the lighter and standing next to the gas.
I see, thank you. Apparently there was an accident just south of Mill Creek near the...
But Loomis is great. Like, he's the only one who understands. So like I mentioned before, that scene where Michael kills the person in the ambulance originally wasn't in the movie. They added that for extra gore. So we would have just seen it leave and then caught up with it later here. We would have been informed of the accident in that telephone call and then seen this crash, but not seen really what happened inside.
The storm came down the bank. It happened.
An accident.
Yes, sir.
You believe that? Why should that? How many people in the bus? 4 plus 5.
Why would you believe it's an accident, you fucking idiot?
How many bodies did you find?
Hell, they're all chewed up.
Bullshit. How many arms, how many legs, how many torsos? It's not a blender. It's not mincemeat. Count fingers if you fucking have to. You can tell how many bodies. You think it was just an accident and there's blood all over the outside? Do you think that a tornado picked it up and threw it into a rock wall over and over again? You fucking dunce.
He's gone. He was here. And he's gone.
Did you find any other body?
Not yet. There's a lot of ground to go.
The consistency with which people
Done all this.
disregard Loomis's claims throughout the entire franchise.
Michael could have
You'd think that after a few of the movies, they'd be like, all right, this guy knows what he's talking about. But it just almost seems to build their distrust for Loomis. It's weird. Oh, that crackpot. He's only been right 5 times before.
You're talking about him as if he were...
See, now he's got the new makeup there.
That part of him died years ago.
It's almost like the wave look.
Where are you going? field. It's a 4-hour drive.
Yeah, he's got just like a
Reach me through the
couple
local
of
police.
wave marks, almost
You
like
don't find
2
it in
streaks
4
of
hours. I'm sure I will.
milky pen. So this gentleman here is actually a different Michael than is in the rest of the movie, or for most of the rest of the movie. This is not George Wilbur. The Invisible Man strikes again. Loomis driving the fucking Ford POS from Men in Black. Oh, it's a Monte Carlo. I could read the logo on the side. Pennies?
Hello?
You guys sell suits? That weird shit. The gas cap behind the license plate. You can make a car look really clean, I suppose, if you do that. My first car was a 66 Mustang, and on the trunk, somewhere near the trunk, I think it was below the trunk, I had a Mustang emblem. It was circular. It said Ford, and it had the horse and everything, and you unscrewed that and put gas in through the back, so it was totally hidden and clean. I hate the front license plates on cars because it totally ruins how they look visually, and that's part of why people like cars, is because they're beautiful looking. So any kind of obstruction like that you can take off, I'm all for. But I think that you ran into that there was issues with getting rear-ended and having the gas cap back there. I may be mistaken. I haven't researched it. I've done zero research. Don't listen to me. Loomis's ability to find Michael in this stuff is uncanny too. Excuse me. He's upgraded. He doesn't have a revolver anymore. Why are you surprised by that dead person, but you weren't surprised by the first dead person? You looked more shocked now. Again, pick that trait up in the second one. Michael didn't really disconnect power and phone lines and shit in the first one, but the second one added that in.
Michael?
And now this is the guy that was just in the garage, but this is not George Wilbur either.
Why now?
And this is an interesting scene because
You waited 10 years.
they shot a reaction of him actually taking the shots and shot him flying out of frame like he does.
You want another victim?
I don't know why you would ever want him taking the shots. What are you going to do?
Leave those people in peace.
But they hooked him up to a jerk line, essentially, and just yanked him out of frame. So they literally wanted him to disappear. He didn't walk away. They wanted it to be it. But you see the plates laying on the floor there? That's from the take where they had him fly back in and do the reaction. But anyway, yeah. So if you've ever questioned, is he supposed to disappear there, or is it just because the camera cuts? He's supposed to disappear because why hook him up to a jerk line? Why hook him up to a jerk line at all? Honestly, if you're going to cut the frame, just take a shot of him there and then have him step out and take a shot of him not there and cut the step out. I don't know why they hooked him up to a jerk line, but it's clear that they wanted it to be as if he disappeared there. That's an interesting choice of vehicle to steal, Michael, because you're going to need to get gas again in like 50 miles. That's a huge bitch. This school does feel Haddonfield-like, I suppose. These kids are little bitches. Yeah, stand up for yourself. I know you're not supposed to promote violence and stuff, but if this was my kid, I'd teach her how to throw a good straight right, and she would punch that kid right in the fucking nose. That blonde one right in front of her. She'd just say, "Leave me alone, or else." And if they didn't leave her alone, what? Right into the soft area on the tip of his nose, just her middle knuckle, right into the front of his nose there. And he's gonna cry and he's gonna bleed. He's gonna live. He'll be okay. He'll remember that forever, though. And those other two kids are gonna be scared shitless. And it's gonna inspire confidence. I know everybody wants to live in this perfect world where kids don't bully and they don't get in fights and all that fucking shit, but it's better to prepare them for when that stuff can and does happen instead of acting like it doesn't. And oddly enough, it seems, whenever somebody starts training, lifting weights, taking martial arts because of bullying, they never seem to get bullied again after that.
I thought you didn't want to go trick-or-treating.
I've heard Joe Rogan talk about it. He started taking martial arts because he got bullied, and then nobody, like, it was so he could take care of himself just in case, and then it never happened anymore. John Cena started lifting weights because he got bullied. Obviously, he's a ridiculous physical specimen, so nobody's going to start picking on him once he gains some muscle. It's kind of an odd situation. It's almost like a paradox. The bullying only exists if the solution to the bullying doesn't exist. But as soon as the solution is there, the bullying stops. Even if it's covert, like somebody learning how to fight isn't necessarily, their knowledge isn't displayed on their body. You can't tell the same way you can with muscles. Excuse me. But people seem to be able to sense it, and they don't fuck with those people. Now we are introduced to the slutty girl and this doofus and Brady.
Hey, wait, why don't you go ahead and make your move?
Those fucking eyebrows, man.
Timing's got to be primo.
Brady's from a unique point in time. He's like a late 80s, early 90s kind of heartthrob guy, but he looks funny to me. But it worked. But he's also, I'm not positive, but I suspect that he didn't age well. I'm guessing he's one of those guys who was good looking when he was young and got older and worse looking. Whereas certain other guys will start off reasonably good looking, but they almost age well, and they get better as they get older, ripen, so to speak. He seems to have like those. It's all, you kind of grow, your features grow, or you grow into your features. And it's almost like he has overdeveloped features when he's young. And so when he gets older, the aging process didn't do him any favors because he already looked old for his age when he was younger. Having said that, he's a great actor, casting no shade. I love him in Dazed and Confused. That's one of my favorite movies. But it's like the Matt Dillon thing. Matt Dillon was like a heartthrob when he was young, and he got older, and something didn't look right about him. And it's almost like his face was too developed at a young age. So he was good looking, but it was like a 30-year-old's face on an 18-year-old's body. And then he got to be 30, and he had a 45-year-old's face. There's the mask there. The hair looks painted and shitty. I don't even know if that's the same mask. That almost... So they have that one there, but they also have another one in a different area? Or is that the one he grabs? Why would they still sell that mask in that town where he killed, what is it, like 16 people on that one night? Seems in bad taste. Do they sell John Wayne Gacy masks at Party City?
What?
Here's your Green River Rapist outfit. I think he was actually Green River Killer.
So I have to watch TV tonight.
When did you find this out?
This morning.
We found it this morning. Well, why didn't you tell me?
That hairstyle is so reminiscent of the era. That jacket, too.
I'm not angry. It's just... Can I come over after and I tell you what to say?
My parents are going to come home early.
He finds out that the date's off, and he makes eyes at that girl and immediately knows that that's his backup plan. But then he's like, nah, let me see if I can get it after the trick-or-treating, etc. And she says no, and he knows what he's gonna do. He's gonna make plans with that blonde girl now. The slutty one. Kind of a douchey move for him to be upset by it. She's got to watch her adopted stepsister. Have a heart, you fuck. That's supposed to be Michael when he's young. And that's Michael now. I like how he swipes at her open-handed and then tilts his head. He knows she exists. He heard about her in the ambulance.
It was the Nightmare Man.
What?
Come and get me, Rachel.
You're okay.
I found it odd that she calls him the Nightmare Man. Why not go with the Boogeyman theme? Call him the Shape. But the Nightmare Man?
Okay. She'll be fine.
My God, that fucking jacket. It matches the slutty girl's shirt. So Michael really was there. She wasn't hallucinating that time. Daydreaming. I believe that's why they showed his face in the shards, because previous to that, she'd seen him in her room and he wasn't really there. I thought the way this plays out was a little odd too. Like, why have this beginning part where the teenagers pull over and then drive away? It doesn't seem to fit. I don't understand why it's there. But I love the guy he's about to get picked up by. Egg face again. The first time I watched this, I felt like this preacher character knew something, was somebody important. Again, I was pretty young, so that probably influenced my decision. I wasn't able to process it with the most knowledge at my disposal. But the way he talks and the way he comes out of the smoke like that, he's got this beat up old truck. He almost seems to not be real. But he seems to know about Michael, and he seems to be onto the, like... At least that's what it seemed to me when I was a kid watching it. And so that's kind of just always been my impression ever since then. He's egg face again. I love Jesus. I believe the Bible. People who are that religious make me nervous. I feel like even if you believe to be that fucking over the top with it is a special kind of crazy. And to be drinking the booze while you're driving, like, you're all into the Jesus, but drinking and driving that shitty old truck is fine. Jack Daniels straight out of the bottle, too. He's not just sipping a beer. I feel like drinking and driving was way more common in the 80s, 70s, previous.
Oh, you're a pilgrim, all right. I saw it on your face back there in the dust. I saw
The Jesus guy is speaking of evil in devil terms, but Loomis is able to relate because he just speaks of evil in Michael terms without getting specific about who, and they can come to common ground. And that shit-eating grin, it's like a breath of fresh air for Loomis. This looks kind of like the It's Raining Red scene. It's raining. Red rum, red rum, red rum.
Okay, Jamie, we're leaving. Where's Rach?
How do we look? You guys always look great.
Like a fucking bitch.
The number's next to the phone. I know, next to that is police, hospital, fire, and...
We're trudging through this. I'm getting a bit tired. It's like 1:15 in the morning. I've recorded a couple of things already today, but I'm trying to make hay while the sun's shining. Get it out while I can. Not over the top with the jack-o'-lanterns. Decent, decent. I don't like that mask thing hanging on the wall on the inside. That thing's creepy. We assume this is Michael Stalking. this sticks true, at least this right now, to the first two. I believe she's going to try to call Brady.
He's not back from work yet?
So
Okay.
Brady went over to the sheriff's daughter's house, the sheriff's house, straight after work.
Okay. Bye.
It's odd also that the girls with the domineering, super strict fathers end up being the loosest. I mean, with their morals, not their vaginas. Their vaginas, she could have a very tight pussy, for all we know. I mean, it made Brady jump ship right away. He definitely has some big old titties. I like that hanging ghost thing. That's a cool decoration. Except for the fact that it hangs like right in the middle of the walkway and hits you in the face. Somebody's going to tear that down by accident. Or maybe some douchebag kid on purpose. So now Michael's going into the house. I never really liked this. He's looking through the pictures. Like he's trying to get confirmation that that's his niece, I guess. Because we're going with the storyline that he's trying to kill his whole family now. His hand is burnt to fuck.
I need to speak with Sheriff Brackett.
But usually we would see the aftermath of something like that with Michael, like a broken picture or something, but to actually show him bending down on the floor and looking through pictures.
Who's the new sheriff?
Eggface is gone now. We're back to Bondo.
Not cops.
This is the second best sheriff in the Halloween franchise behind Rob Zombies. I can't think of his name right now.
He's here, Sheriff.
An invalid? What
10
is...
years ago, he tried to kill Laurie Strode. Now he wants her daughter.
Loomis has a big-ass scar on the top of his head. Is that real? Is that actually on top of
Wherever she is,
Pleasant's
that
head?
little child is in mortal danger.
Been locked up since before he's never laid eyes on him.
6 bodies, Sheriff.
He's gonna lay his dick on her in Halloween 6.
A filling station in flames. I tell you, like
That's so crazy to think about where we end up with this franchise.
kill that little girl.
Like, to think that in this movie, that is Jamie Lee Curtis's daughter. She's like 8 years old or whatever. And Michael's this full-grown man trying to kill her.
It's true.
Just, I mean, just the fact that he's trying to kill the little kid and that we're going with the family storyline thing and he's taken it that far to the niece.
TV station.
But then that just a couple movies later, he's having sex with that same character and producing a baby. And then trying to kill them both. Like, why produce the baby and then try to kill... It's... But we're not going to blame this movie for those movies' faults. It's just interesting to think about how far we go. Nice, sensible footwear for walking around. Don't you own a pair of running shoes? How come all these other kids are skipping this house? When I go out with my son, because I deliver newspapers and I've done it in several different areas, because I'm kind of I don't want to get into all that, but I've delivered in some really nice neighborhoods. I know where the rich folks live. So we truck over there and park our car and walk around that neighborhood. And I bring a backpack so that when his bag gets so full it's heavy for him, we just empty it in my backpack and then keep on going. And he comes home with, several full-size candy bars and all kinds of shit.
Hi, Rachel.
Cops do it by the book. So now we're at the slutty girl's house and Brady's dumbass. He didn't hear her say hi, Rachel. It's like he wanted to get caught. Playa.caught.com. This guy's a fuckboy. What does he think he's going to say that makes this right? Like, I don't understand. An explanation? So just a few minutes ago, we saw Michael creeping around that building watching. So he went and saw the pictures, and now he's stalking them.
I thought you were different from other guys.
And Rachel's arguing with Brady and not paying attention to Jamie. Bad on her, but at Jamie's age, she should know not to just run off by herself. She should have been standing there waiting just a few feet away. Are you wearing underwear or not? She is, because later by the fireplace she is. So what? I mean, I assume she is now.
By order of the sheriff's office, all citizens of Hatfield are asked.
These fucking guys. This is like everybody's dad in my hometown. Well, now I'm grown, so this is probably the people that I used to go to school with probably all do this now.
Sure. Mark could land on Ben's doorstep. All he'd do is spit one and get himself a shotgun. Who do you call? Police station. Closing down without a good goddamn reason. Wow. Just ran.
You're in a little ass town. What if there's something going on? These hillbilly fucks. It is not, I mean, any port in a storm, when in time of need, it's not bad to have all these guys with shotguns, honestly, if you absolutely had to defend the town. Militia style. Look at all those classic Fords and Chevys. My dad had a Ford look just like that, bright orange. I think it was a 75. Back then, Rangers and F-150s were the same thing. I believe. His said Ranger F-150. It was lifted, had like 35s on it. So now Loomis and Brackett just entered this house. Do they have a warrant? Now he's going to look at the pictures. These pictures are getting a lot of use. The neighborhood pump.
Something. He's been here. How do you know?
Because there's a dead dog, and he leaves dead dogs wherever he goes.
Please, I'm not alone.
Logan, I want you to stay here in case.
Again, the sheriff's actually taking it seriously.
Sam, no problem.
This dumbass, he fucks up major later. Major later. I really hate this scene. Michael looks dumpy and stupid in the way that he tosses this guy.
Hey, you. The city property. No traffic.
He looks like he's trying to move into frame and then stop. He's not moving correctly. That fucking mask. And see the hair, how it's like going back over the ears and it creates this dome look? It's not supposed to look that way.
Don't you even think about
They also went with a taller actor for this than Nick Castle and Dick Warlock. And I think it fucked up the way he looks in frame, honestly. I think sometimes having the shorter, maybe that guy, the clothes fit better on him, the mask fits better on him, he looks better in the frame. Movies aren't real life. You don't need him to be the tall guy. Nick Castle, being a shorter, skinnier guy, managed to pull off stabbing Bob through the fucking wall in the original Halloween and made it look good. So it doesn't matter. But the way he throws this guy into the thing and so he was stalking Jamie and diverted his path and went to the power plant and threw the worker onto the thing to kill the power in the town. Kids, there's no power at home. We need to go there immediately. She still can't find Jamie. I mean, I guess you don't want her to die, obviously, but she doesn't have a lot of redeeming qualities. Jamie, this is your fault and not mine. This does look a lot like the alleyway and etc. that Michael was walking through at the beginning of 2 before he gets the knife from the Elrods. For being a little girl, she's so good at making herself seem scared and acting scared, and the crying and the nervousness. She pulls it off well, and she seems relatively well adjusted for a child actress, grown up.
Jamie?
Speaks well, doesn't seem to be, fucked up on drugs.
Jamie?
This whole looking for Jamie kind of doesn't pay off either. I mean, they find each other and there's the relief, but I feel like there needs to be a little bit more at stake. Oh, there it is. I forgot about that. So does she know who that is? Do they know what he looks like? This is 10 years after the previous night they're claiming. So Rachel would have been 8 years old, 7 years old during the first one, so she should have an idea what he looks like and who he is. And should be offended that they sell that mask. I'm so offended. I'm going to call HR.
Wherever you are, big dog.
You're standing in the wide open. It'd be pretty obvious to see you don't have a dog.
Where have you been? Don't ever go off on your own again, okay?
I could say the same to you. She seems way too comfortable with the fact that she just saw Michael. Oh, was it the fake? Another thing that takes me out of this that I don't like with the writing is this thing with the multiple fake Michael Myers here. How do they know what he looks like? Where are they getting why are they getting the masks? Like, how is this allowed?
Is that him? Is that him? Yes.
And it adds a little bit of confusion later when there's the Michael wearing the wrong mask, because then you're like, is this a real Michael? Is this a fake Michael? I don't like the bringing in of the people imitating Michael. If you look closely, you can't see the outfits are wrong.
Get home, damn it!
It would have been great if we could have seen Michael kill those guys. Pretenders to the throne.
Come on, we'll get to the station and get these kids safe.
And of course, as the car pulls off, we see Michael and realize that he was there. The score is like so much ambiance and not enough fucking daggers. Not enough. I need more of that. It's really missing. I've heard others say this, so I don't want to take credit for the thought, but I totally agree with it. We really should have seen how this scene played out where the police station gets fucked up. But I honestly feel like there wouldn't have been a way to shoot it and make it play realistically. It would have seemed too far-fetched. You have all these cops with guns, and it's a reasonably open space. How does Michael get in there and systematically pick apart all these guys without it being over the top, far-fetched, and unrealistic, is my question. I'm smoking a cigarette, so if you're jealous or if you don't like it, suck it. Now the militia's going to go into full effect. Uncle Ted just found out that his wife's cheating on him. Him and the boys are going to go wrangle up the posse and get some blood pumping.
Boy, 10 years back. Well, not this time, Ben. I'll handle this my own way. Fry his ass.
Son of a bitch, you just created a lynch mob.
Loomis has got a point. I understand the sheriff because he doesn't want the liability of having this militia on his hands, but this is borderline lawless territory you're dealing with, at least when it comes to Michael. By any means necessary, pretty much. But we're also about to see the side effects of that when he fucking kills, when those guys kill the wrong person. Again, as I've said when reviewing the first movie, check your fucking backseat. This guy is going to drive Michael right to where they are. Now the parents are going to show up and nobody's there. I gotta take a piss real quick so you guys can listen to the movie for a second. And we're back, and Cheddar Bob just shot his own dick off. So these guys did play it a little fast and loose with their shooting. But if you're that guy hiding in the bushes, what the fuck are you doing hiding in the bushes? Identify yourself. They know him by name. You ever seen the back of a $100 bill on weed? Is there a man in the bushes? Red team go! Red team go! I don't think this chick's as hot as she's supposed to come off as. She's not ruin it all for her hot. At least not in comparison to Rachel. I just would have stuck with Rachel and played my cards that way. I wouldn't have just fucked everything up for this girl. Apparently because of rating issues, they were trying to go as close as possible to showing without actually showing her tits, etc. And they did a reasonable job of pulling off a good sexy scene without actually showing nipplage and buttholes. Doesn't surf or skate or pick his butt anymore. Nice butt, though. Pretty good looking butt from that angle. It's not hard to have a good looking butt from that angle, though, let's be honest. Not lighting. Your dad? This gets played out in so many movies where you're in the middle of sex and the dad shows up that it actually becomes a legitimate fear when you're a teenage boy having sex. And it never came up, at least not for me. I had a couple of close, near misses, but nobody ever actually showed up and caught me. There was a couple, like, I left their house, and as I'm driving down the street 2 blocks later, I pass their dad or something like that. But, we're talking about in the past, too. I'm grown up. I'm married now. Don't argue. Girls get to argue with their parents too much in these movies. In real life. I fucking hate you, blah. Why do I have to listen to you? Well, you'll be getting a job tomorrow, and I'll be confiscating all your clothes that I buy. I don't want you to be naked. I'm trying to prove to you the value of working, God damn it. You need to appreciate me. Why don't you love me? Daddy didn't love me. You kind of already did, and you didn't, so... What's up, Pops? Crack him in the chin with a fucking 40. Dipshit, you know you didn't leave your back door open. Why are you not alarmed by that? You should now be on the lookout.
Making sure no one can get in here. No, that's a little paranoid. In that police station, you wouldn't even ask.
We did see it, but we didn't see what happened. Again, I don't think it plays well. I don't think that you can actually show him killing that whole police station of people and make it look right and realistic.
Halloween. Baby's uncle.
How does Brady not know who this is? Yeah, you are. Get the fuck out of here. Cockboy. Deputy dumbass. Quarterback slumdog. Hello, hello, hello. This creepy ass attic with mannequins and shit in it. Nobody can ever have a nice, clean, well secure house in these movies. Again, I guess it doesn't make it any fun. But I would really like to see somebody come at it as like, how would this actually play if somebody wasn't vulnerable in all these different aspects? If it was an ideal situation for the victim, how would it play? I guess they kind of try to do that in the new one with Michael and Lori, and she gets him, but doesn't get him somehow. She designed that room to trap him in, but he gets out. So a few of the issues that we've addressed so far. I hate the mask. The makeup on Loomis's face being inconsistent. The fake Michael Myers, multiple people wearing the mask, and then coinciding with him wearing the wrong mask later, and it making it almost like, is this even the real Michael? Because he kind of flashes out of nowhere and then is gone. And he's definitely wearing the wrong mask. What pushed that door open? Doors don't just open on their own.
Real soon, Jamie. No, shh.
Jamie is a bit needy. We're being honest.
Next week,
Oh. Always the generator's going to go in next week. If he had the generator, different situation. I don't like how everybody's spread out throughout the house either. Lock everybody in the basement. Yeah, everybody's kind of guarding an area of vulnerability, but you have too many areas of vulnerability. If you're in the basement, there's one door. Michael can create fucking chaos and Tasmanian devil the entire house if he wants to. But he wouldn't, because he doesn't. He doesn't like it. Maybe he doesn't kill people with clean houses because that's the reason he kills people. Because their houses aren't clean. Now we get more into better music. The nighttime shots do play better as far as coloring, etc. when it's dark. I do like that. And it is a worthy sequel to Halloween 2. Now, we're going to see Michael classically peering it through the background.
I'm trying.
I don't... You're not nervous enough, man. In that shot, the mask looks fine.
Has been me, Sheriff, over at Hatfield. A phone and power lines are down, and we have a killer running loose in the street. Michael Myers.
This is the sheriff from the other town. I think I could get fired for such a prank. This is some kind of prank. This has been trick-or-treated to death tonight. Meeker should have said, you don't know what a prank is.
Is sister all right?
She's fine.
She's not my real sister.
Sheriff's running up the house. They'll be here soon. No overnight. Not over yet.
Shut up. Fuck your mother.
That's where Jamie lives. That's where you go. Leave Myers for the state police.
State police will not have to stop it.
I love how Loomis can ignore cops. They tell him what to do and he's just like, no, you're not right. Oh, Jesus. Sorry, guys. I'm dying, petering out a little bit. I might have to re-record a new version of this at a later date if this is subpar.
I didn't know you and Brady had anything, okay?
Bullshit.
You just-
She saw them talking at work earlier that day.
Besides, I've got a right to do what's best for me. Don't you mean what you do best? Why is out what men want, Rachel? Or Brady won't be the last man in lose to them.
You're giving it up to him on the first day and he just broke up with his girlfriend. He's not going to value you that much.
Sheriff, what is going on up there?
Michael Myers is on the loose. Captain Obvious.
State boys will send word once they're en route. And that word comes. Deputy Logan.
Should I shave my pussy in the meantime? What about my butthole? He finds out she has a hairy butthole and he just asks her to leave. He's like, even if you shave it, I'm still going to be able to tell. That's your boss and it's an emergency situation. Stop arguing. Who's watching Jamie? She's by herself in here? take the fucking Halloween costume off, too. You're sleeping in that thing? Is that comfortable for you? Those old-timey lanterns are dope. Why are you still wearing, like, earrings and shit? The fact that Michael picked up the shotgun and sat down in his chair and started rocking is hilarious to me. Instead of just, like, hiding in that dark room or something. He's being a decoy. He likes to bait people.
We have some MTV while we wait for the cavalry.
Now you realize you're fucked. Michael didn't do much with that body. He just kind of left it there. He didn't have time. See, when the light's not hitting it straight on and bright, you can tell that the shape of the mask is actually pretty close to correct. But it's the way it's painted and the texture and the hair that's off. She just got so happy, it's like she won the lottery.
Okay. Great, we'll be waiting. Over and out.
My lingerie is at my house, so is it okay if I'm just naked? Because I'm going to be really happy to see you. Bring Jamba Juice. Mom doesn't know what kind she wants. She says it's red. Well, can't just wait till next year? An itch on my back. I couldn't reach it. So it broke my neck. Pretty good scream. Pretty good scream. Why was nobody with Jamie? When did you come down from the attic? What a dick. Why don't you try to find her? Do you think she stands a chance? Well, if she's with you, maybe. That's not the only door. There's windows. Where the fuck have you been? Shoot now. Shoot now. That goddamn mask. Brady does try, though. He's a fumble fuck with the gun. Why wasn't it loaded to begin with? And Michael's not interested in using the gun for anything but a blunt object or stabbing weapon. Oh! See, yeah, he drops it off the edge. He's like, now we're gonna fight. Superhuman strength time. And here he's gonna crush his head, but they don't go super gory with it, which I dig. Oh, that crunching sound is like a tree snapping and falling. Leave us alone, she yells. Like that's gonna help. Michael trying to wake his way through the barricades, all herky-jerkies. Be hilarious. It's like a GTA character that spawns in the wrong spot or something. It's funny, but I don't like when people put Michael in hilarious situations. Oh, there's a knife in the attic, randomly. Oof. I used to build windows, and broken glass makes me nervous. Why don't you jump on my back for a piggyback ride? Climbing up a roof like that with a little girl on your back would not be the easiest thing in the world. So now Michael like went out of the house, even though they were stuck in. Somehow he's able to get in and out, and he's gonna pop up on the other side of the roof, I believe, unless my memory is fucking up because I'm so tired. Danielle Lewis is like a little monkey. She is on that back. She's not letting go. Her rear mount's incredible. Jiu-jitsu black. See, Michael looks stupid doing that too. The way he just like brought himself over the edge of that roof. Gangster as fuck for standing up and walking on that shit though. It's a reasonably pitched roof. Steep pitch. Oh! He looks like he's wearing almost a padded suit. Like his chest and everything's too barrel-like. It's too rotund. He's not fat. He just... I don't know what it is. It's something wrong about the shape of him. Oof. Those look like pretty vicious swipes, though. He looked like he's actually trying to get her. Where are you going to put a tree that big? Bend over, I'll show you. It would have been nice if we got a shot of her laying on the ground there after she hit. From up. Can see... Never mind. I'm talking about too many sexual things. People are going to get on my case. But I can see down the back of her pants. He got down quick, boy. It's probably because he used a ladder to get up there, so he used a ladder to get down. He pauses almost as if to taunt. And Michael just leaves the unconscious Rachel there on the ground and comes after Jamie. It's interesting that people were able to remain so behind Michael and in the Michael Myers camp when there's 2 whole movies where he spends the entirety of them pursuing a very young child to murder. It works for some reason. But, like, if he had actually killed her, it would have been horrible. Stupid jump scare.
That's the first place he looked for you. Where's the schoolhouse? The schoolhouse. Where is the...
So he's not looking to bait Michael. He's actually looking to evade him. So he wants to go to the schoolhouse. And we're going to get the famous wrong mask scene for 2 seconds. And The director said that thinks what happened is they were shooting at 4 a.m. and they were so tired that somebody just grabbed the wrong mask from the production truck and nobody on set noticed because they were so tired, and that they probably should have gone back and reshot it. So I guess they only shot it in one take, and they didn't have an alternate take to fix in editing. But shit like that just really ruins the continuity of the movie. To have Michael look so wrong anyway, and then to have the fake Michaels, and then to have the scene where he has the wrong mask on, it's this here. Like, how do you miss that? And that Michael was just standing 2 feet from her. How did they get separated? I don't know what this building is, but it legit looks like the inside of a school. Yeah, see, where did Michael go? He just threw Loomis through a window right down there. You would have thought there would have been like an immediate chase of her, but so he must have gone up the stairs on the other side of the hallway and then came back down over here just to scare her? Like, does he want to kill her? Or does he want to keep her until she's old enough to impregnate? I'm not trying to make a pedophile joke. That's literally what they do in Halloween 6. He fucks her and has a baby. The producer's cut. If you guys have never seen the producer's cut and you're wondering what the hell this crazy son of a bitch is talking about right now, in the producer's cut, the original cut of the film, they had a scene where Jamie, the adult Jamie, is all tied up, and the inference is that Michael comes up and fucks her, and that the baby she has in both versions of the film is Michael's baby. So he impregnates his own niece with his baby. So considering that's where they go with it, how he plays this scene here and really not wholeheartedly trying to get her is interesting. Now they're in safe hands, seemingly. But somehow Michael got outside and he's like Spider-Man on the bottom of that fucking truck. Got them spider bags. Spider bags. 2 for 1. That is a badass truck. I really hate this fucking scene. How he is like just hanging on the back of the truck. It would have been they're driving fast, and then he climbs up without anybody noticing, and then the truck doesn't rock back and forth at all while he systematically kills them one by one. It's kind of fucking nonsense. How they shot this part, though, this truck isn't even moving. It's on 4x4s or 2x4s, and there's people in the production team jockeying it back and forth to make it look like it's bumping around. Or no, actually, that's later when she's driving it by herself. I'm fucking out of my head. Insane in the membrane. Insane in the brain.
Okay. Substation about 4 miles down the highway. You see the turnoff sign. We've got officers on duty. They'll take care of it. Thanks.
There's already 3 cops going the other way. Couldn't we just stay with that one? Did the cops see Michael? If the cops saw Michael, wouldn't he have gotten in his car and busted ass to catch up with them, and it wouldn't have been that difficult? Michael's in the mist. He attaches to the car in the mist. And he still got the knife. He managed to hang on to that truck with the knife. And this guy who's 2 inches from the tailgate doesn't feel him climbing up. This is one of the... See, I feel like this is how the cop scene would have played out, but even more ridiculous. Like, this isn't fucking plausible. Come on. You and 2 buddies sit in the back of a truck and have somebody climb the tailgate and get in the back and see if you don't feel it. Then have one of your buddies start wrestling with that person and see if the other 2 don't feel it. It's just all... And then have somebody sit in the driver's seat and see if they don't feel it. It's unbelievable. And I know people really like this, and a lot of people think it's the second best Halloween movie, but I think they're fucking crazy. And I know that the writer is really proud of what he did with this, and even wanted them to extend it further with the Jamie being the killer thing. But I feel like there's a lot of holes in it. I know it was rushed also, though, because there was a writing strike coming up, so they kind of took what they could get. And that's what it feels like. It just is... If the original Halloween is an A, this is like a B minus or a C. It's soft. He headbutts the fucking glass. This might even be a C. Yeah. See, he just moves a little frumpy. Why are his shoulders so pushed up high by his head? But I like this move by her. She handles her business here at the end. He smashes his face on the hood. Just keep running over. Just go. Just run over him. You're already fucked. You're stuck. So presumably the cops saw him on the back, but it took this long. He had to catch up to the other ones. Oh. Now he symbolically finally lets go of the knife. Now we have this moment where the quote-unquote curse or evil, whatever the fuck, the blackness in the eyes is passed through her touching his hand. As if she would be sympathetic for this guy that has just been trying to kill her and get out and touch him. She'd be scared shitless. She would have jumped out of the truck and gone to the cops. Don't leave me in this car by myself. And now they light his ass up. They actually shoot throwing dynamite into the hole. And don't use it in this movie. They use it in the next one. But, the intention of the writer was to have Michael be dead after this movie, which is kind of funny because that's been the intention of the writer every time through the first 3. Carpenter wanted the first one to be a one-off. He got talked into writing the second one. He didn't direct it, but he wrote it. And he wanted it to end there. Then they do Season of the Witch, whatever. People are mad. They want more Michael Myers, so they bring this back. This writer wants that to be the end of Michael. And then now we're brought into what he intended the franchise direction to be, which is Jamie being the killer. Fucking unbelievable. And what you would end up with is where Rob Zombie fails in H2. We have too much backstory on Jamie. We're already sympathetic to her. So if she becomes a killer, while we're not going to love her the same way anymore, we have somewhat of an idea how she got that way. Whereas we don't know how Michael got that way, and it's scarier. In Halloween 2, we had so much backstory on Michael, or actually one rather. So much backstory on Michael. We see so much of his character development and him talking and interacting with people that it detracts from it because you have more of an idea of what his motives are and how he thinks, and it's not as scary because you can't just project whatever you want onto him. And that would have been the problem with Jamie. It would have been like, well, she was an orphan, she's adopted by this family, her uncle tracked her down and tried to murder her, her stepsister thinks she's a super inconvenience and resents her. It would, it would be too cookie cutter. It'd be like a real story. You just watch Forensic Files. It is a nice callback to the other scene, but her being the killer is just, especially when they wanted the follow-up to be so immediate. She's a little girl. You're going to plausibly have this little girl be a killer? Loomis plays this great. Donald Pleasance does an excellent job. It's like he just got home and Taco Bell forgot one of his burritos. It's like they just told him that the McRib got taken away again. He's going to try to shoot the cashier at McDonald's. So again, it's kind of an iconic image, and this is what we're left with as the final thought for Halloween 4. And that's just a horrible direction to take the movie in. So that's my last contention with the writing, continuity, filming, etc. That director legitimately wanted to go into that direction, and that would have been a horrible idea. I'm glad that they didn't do that. The Akkad, his son, said that it was never the intent to do that. So even if this writer had stayed on, they would have had to come up with a compromise, because having her take on the mantle as being the killer in the franchise was never what they were going to do. And it's kind of a dumbass idea when you consider how much of a blunder Halloween 3 was with no Michael. Granted, you would have more continuity in the story in 5 if there was no Michael, because you at least explained where he went. But people wouldn't have bought into it the same way. There would have been massive uproar and outrage. But what they did end up doing was create a lack of continuity, when in the next one we now have to explain why she's not the killer, Michael's back, all this shit. So they wrote themselves into a corner yet again. I appreciate this movie as it being part of the series. I watch it when I'm going through the gamut, and I don't hate it. I just get taken out of it by the stuff that I mentioned previously, and I feel like it could have been made a lot better. What's interesting about how people bitch about the Rob Zombie movies and how he fucked up with the writing, the characters, the story, making Loomis a douchebag, and making Michael talk, making him basically like a steroided copy of Rob Zombie himself. He got the shots right, the lighting, the angles, the way the scenes play out, the gore, the viciousness. He got a lot of that fucking spot on. So I feel like you could have taken this movie as is, this script, and had him shoot it. The mask would have looked better. The movements, the portrayal of Michael as the shape would have looked better. You wouldn't have had the continuity issues with the makeup on Dr. Loomis, the wrong mask in the one scene. A lot of it would have just played out better. So I feel like that would have been a great marriage. If you had almost this exact script directed by Rob Zombie, but clean up some of the issues with the writing, like make the Rachel character more endearing, less of a bitch, less of a fucking I don't even know what to say right now. And then don't have the ending go down the way it does. Maybe change the shootout, change where Jamie touches him. Don't have the psychic connection built in at all, because that fucks it up quite a bit. 5 has to kind of pick up that torch and carry it, and does even worse with it and puts us into a tailspin. And then 6 has to try to pick up all those pieces and finish it off. It's kind of remarkable that after this they didn't have the idea to just reboot the whole thing. But I guess you're not deep enough into the series to do that. So that's basically going to conclude the commentary for Halloween 4. Thank you for sticking through me. I know that I'm getting into rough shape here. I'm tired. like, subscribe, comment, tell me what I did wrong. Call me an asshole. I don't care. Check me out on Instagram. Check out my other commentaries and videos. I'll be making a review of this. I have on deck, I have to do the review for Halloween 2, and then the review for this, and I'll be churning out more commentary tracks. On to the next one with number 5. So, again, Avarice channel. This is Devin saying until the next time, be easy.